welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Kirsten and today we are doing my July TBR. Now this TBR is going to be a little bit different because I have decided to come up with a TBR game. Now I did get this idea from 3 different channels where I got ideas for the prompts and the sort of game that I wanted to make. These are 3 channels that I avidly love watching and I will have them linked below. But we have Jade, Codie and Becca, who are amazing booktubers and they just have the best TBR games going and I absolutely love it. So my version is going to be a little bit different. I am going to be building on it slowly just because it's in the very basic stages, so I'm hoping it's something I can build upon and make it a bit better, but I was too excited to wait until it's fully polished, so we're just gonna go with it. So the way it works, I have a 6-sided dice that has different colours on each side. Now I'm going to be rolling this dice and the colour that comes up will correlate with another little dice that I have. Underneath this dice will be a prompt. So I have different prompt cards. So underneath each dice will be a prompt that I will take and then shuffle up what's left and replace it. Now I would love to actually be able to get some proper coloured card that goes with the 6 different dice colours because it will make it a lot easier. The reason why I'm using an extra dice is so I can keep track of how many times the same colour has been chosen, because the rule of my game is I have to roll this a minimum of 6 times, but any colour that comes up twice, whether it's twice in a row or at different times, I have to do a re-roll. This means that I will always have a minimum of 6 books on my TBR, but it has the potential to go up to 12. Now this month's slightly different because I already have 4 books that I need to read for the month because I'm taking part in 2 different readathons. One is the Koreadathon with Books with Chloe, which is a week-long readathon, and the other one is Becca's Bookopoloy readathon, which is only a 48-hour readathon, but I'm really excited to take part. I will go into details of what the books are and what the prompts are for each readathon once we've got started, but for now, let's get to playing the game. Roll number 1 is a green, and that is recent purchase. Roll number 1 ended up being a recent purchase, and for this I am going to go for Frankly in Love by Yoon. Now this is also going to be for my Korea readathon, which I will give the full prompts and everything at the end of the video, but I'm really excited to read this. This is about a Korean main character whose family is very strict on who they can date, and so these 2 characters start fake dating so that they can then date the people that they actually want to. It seems like it's going to be a really nice, light, fluffy read, but I can't start reading this until July 6th for the Korean readathon. Roll number 2 is a yellow. And that's read a first in a series. The second prompt was read a first in a series, and for this I'm going to choose Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeymi. I'm really excited to give this a try. This is one of my recent purchases as well, but this should be a really fun read. It's got magic involved, and from what I know, this is following a main character whose mother was killed for having magic, and she has magic and is now out for revenge. I know that there's been a lot of good reviews about this book and the second one, so it would be really nice to actually start this month. Now on to roll number 3, and that's another green. Animal on a cover. Now that we've had green chosen twice, I need to do a re-roll, and that is pink, which is a retelling. On the 3rd roll it came up with read a book with an animal on a cover. So for this prompt I've decided to go for Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. This is the 2nd book in the Grishaverse. It does have an animal on the cover, and I read Shadow and Bone and I absolutely loved it, so I'm really excited to carry on with this trilogy. But the 3rd roll also meant I had to do a re-roll, and the re-roll was a retelling. The retelling I've gone for is Every Heart a Doorway by Cho Nam-Joo. This is a retelling of different characters who've been to different worlds, such as Alice in Wonderland. I've already read Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which is the Jack and Jill retelling, which is technically a prequel to this, but it is the 2nd book in the series. I'm excited to read this. This is also for Becca's Bookopoloy prompt, and again I will get into the ins and outs of that readathon in a moment. Roll number 4 is a blue, read a book under 500 pages. So the fourth prompt is to read a book under 500 pages, and for this I've decided on the Still Prince graphic novel by V.E. Schwab. This is something that I've been really excited to read. A graphic novel is not something I normally read, so it'll be really nice to break up the month with something a little bit different. Roll number 5 is a yellow, and that's to read a contemporary. But as before, yellow has been chosen already, so I need to do a re-roll, which is purple. And that's a reread. Then for the fifth roll we came up with contemporary, and for this I am going to be reading Kim Jiyoung, born 1982. This is actually a translated work from Korean, which is also going to be part of my Korean readathon. I'm excited to give this a try. We are following one woman during her life of being kind of forced to meet everybody's expectations and how she's struggling to do that. So I'm excited to read this. We also had to do a re-roll for that fifth roll, which meant I also had another prompt for a reread. And for this I'm going to be reading The Final Empire by Sanderson. This is a book that I have been meaning to get to for a little while because we do have Rhythm of War coming out later this year, so I'm trying to read all of his Cosmere books, pick up on any little things that connect to all of them, because the Stormlight Archive connects to all his other works in the Cosmere. So I'm really pleased that a reread came up because it means I can get into this. It is a bit of a bigger book, but I really love his writing, and this one is set in a world where the bad guys have already won, and there is magic all to do with certain metals that you ingest, and it allows you to do certain things. It is a brilliant book and I cannot wait to jump back into this world. So the sixth and hopefully final roll is pink. To read a book with a dark cover. But that's the second time pink's been chosen, so we need to do another re-roll, which is pink again. So the final prompt is horror / thriller / murder mystery. Then for the sixth roll we got read a book with a dark cover, and I couldn't not choose All the Stars and Teeth by Adaline Grace. I have been so excited to read this for a while now. This is all about mermaids and pirates and magic, and it just sounds absolutely amazing. There is different types of magic in this world, and soul magic is the most rare and powerful, I believe. And when our main character's 16th birthday comes along, she has to do a showing of her power, and it goes horribly wrong, and so she joins up with a pirate, and it all kind of goes from there. So it sounds really interesting and like a fun read, so I cannot wait. And of course, being the sixth roll, I had to have a re-roll, and I ended up with having to choose a book that's either a horror, a thriller or a murder mystery. I'm so sorry for the dogs barking, they're going a little bit crazy today. The reason why I have all three of these grouped together is because I don't have many in this genre. When I get some more, I will separate them into individual prompts. But for now, I decided to go with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is a murder mystery, and we follow our main character who, for a bit of extra credit, is looking into a recent murder that happened, I think it's the year before, and she's trying to uncover what actually happened because she doesn't believe that the person who got blamed is actually the person that committed the crime. So again, this is another one that I hauled a little while ago and have been meaning to read for a little while, so it'll be fun to get to. So I did get quite lucky. 3 of the books that I need to read for the different readathons I could put with some of the prompts, so I just want to go briefly over the different readathons that are happening. So we have the first readathon, which is the Korean readathon, as said, being hosted by Books with Chloe, who I will have linked below. This is a week-long readathon starting on the 6th of July, and there are 4 prompts plus a group read book. Now, I am not doing all 4 prompts, I am doing 3 of the prompts and the group read book. However, they were really kind enough to say that we can combine the prompts together to make it easier because it is only a week-long readathon. So the prompts that they do have: to read a book by a Korean author with a person on the cover, a translated Korean work, diaspora character in the book, and also a Korean mythology book. Now, I'm not doing the Korean mythology book. I do have a book that works for that, which is Wicked Fox by Cho. However, I only read that recently and I don't really feel like rereading it this soon, especially because it's about a month ago, so I already know exactly what happens in that, and I read that for the Asian readathon, so that's why I'm not doing that prompt. However, the group book read is Silence of Bones by Juyoung. Now this book I'm also using for the prompt of a person with a cover because it clearly has a person on the cover. I have ordered this, I'm just waiting for it to arrive. It should hopefully arrive in the next couple of days. So that's one book that didn't fit onto this TBR, and the other ones that you have already seen I'm going to use Frankly in Love for my personal TBR and also for the prompt of a diaspora character. I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I've never had to say that word before, just because this does feature a Korean character living in America, so that works for that prompt really well. And as said, I will be reading Kim Jiyoung, born in 1982, for the prompt of a translated work. So I'm really pleased that the TBR prompts that came up with the dice work also with the Korean readathon. And then the final readathon that's taken place is Becca's Bookopoloy. This is a 48-hour readathon that's actually happening the weekend of the Korean readathon. So I'm hoping to have those 3 books read by Friday, so I can then move on to Becca's Bookopoloy. Now she's doing it slightly different in that we don't have all the prompts for it yet. So she's given us the first prompt, and then there will be 3 more prompts, but they are going to be given to us in 12-hour intervals within the readathon. Now the first prompt, you do get an option of 2. I went for a chance card, and I did a poll on Twitter to help decide what book I would be reading for Becca's Bookopoloy to start it all off. And that ended up being Every Heart Adeymi by Cho Nam-Joo, so I was really pleased that retelling came up because it works really well for both prompts. So that does mean with my TBR game, I ended up with 9 books to read, and with the extra prompt that didn't fit into these categories, it makes a grand total of 10 books to read for the month. So I hope you've enjoyed this slightly different way of me creating a TBR. It was just a fun way for me to be a bit more diverse in my reading and try and challenge myself to read different things and different types of books throughout the month. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. All my social media links to my Instagram, Goodreads and Twitter will be linked below, and I'll catch you in the next video.